The Aggies are back on KVNU. Hear every game along with the best coverage before and afterwards on News Talk KVNU, the home again for the Aggies.
KVNU News Time is 5:03. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Franklin County Medical Center. A 41-year-old Logan man has pleaded guilty to hiding cameras in a woman's home and then threatening her and her family. Raphael William Dixon has been in the Cache County Jail since being arrested December 12th. Dixon accepted a plea deal last Monday in Logan's First District Court. He pleaded guilty to stalking, a third-degree felony, voyeurism, and attempted implanting of an electronic device, both Class A misdemeanors, and attempted violation of a protective order. In exchange for Dixon's plea, prosecutors agreed to dismiss 8 remaining charges. According to prosecutors, the victim called Logan City police officers on December 11th after finding several recording devices in her home. The devices had been placed in her bedroom, her juvenile daughter's bedroom, and a living room. The victim explained how Dixon had spent the night unattended at the residence a week before. He reportedly admitted to setting up the cameras when confronted by the woman. After finding the cameras, the victim left the residence. She told Cache County Sheriff's deputies how Dixon began sending threatening messages throughout the day and night. More than 50 messages were sent as the alleged victim repeatedly asked Dixon to stop contacting her. Some of them included threats, telling the woman to enjoy the last few hours with her daughter. Dixon is scheduled to be sentenced March 11th and could face up to a year in prison. KVNU News Time is 5:05. KVNU weather for tonight. Rain showers in the forecast, overnight low in the low 30s, then a 50% chance of rain on Tuesday, high in the mid-40s. Rain Tuesday night, and then rain and snow developing on Wednesday. Little or no snow accumulation expected. High temperature in the upper 30s. It's 38 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Cache Valley Chevron stations. Download the Chevron app and join Chevron Rewards. Then you can save $1 per gallon on your next 3 visits. Visit any Cache Valley Chevron station for details.
In today's game, the momentum will shift when one team goes on a run. A run. Like the diaper run you made last night? If you're thinking of getting a vasectomy, the healthcare teams at Franklin County Medical Center in Preston are ready. A vasectomy is a highly effective form of contraception. It's a simple procedure with a short recovery time, and a vasectomy means less stress for family planning. Talk to the experts at Franklin County Medical Center in Preston about your vasectomy. Start by visiting fcmc.org today.
KVNU News Time is 5:06. The Board of Directors of the Summerfest Arts Fair is looking for a few community-minded volunteers to fill upcoming board positions scheduled to open in 2025. For 40 years, the Summerfest Arts Fair has been the kickoff event for the Cache Valley summer season, embracing the arts by providing a quality juried arts event for the public, as well as nonstop music and great food. The annual event is scheduled at the Cache County Event Center and Fairground on June 13th through 15th this year. But board member Shirlene Davis explains that Summerfest succeeds each year thanks to dedicated work of the volunteer board. They serve as event organizers and liaisons for the various aspects of the arts fair. Among some of the areas of responsibility for board members are organizing community volunteers, supervising food vendors, and coordinating with county facility managers. And a woman was arrested last Thursday after deputies said she set off a car chase through Salt Lake County, reaching speeds of over 120 miles per hour and driving into oncoming traffic. Deputies with the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office said the incident began February 2nd when they attempted to conduct a traffic stop on a vehicle after recognizing the passenger as a robbery suspect. The driver, identified as 29-year-old Desiree Romero, did not stop the car and increased her speed as she began driving in the continuous left turn lane. Deputies said that she began cutting off other vehicles, driving into oncoming traffic for brief moments and reaching speeds of over 100 and 120 miles per hour at times. Desiree then reportedly got onto the freeway and began driving in the median to pass traffic. The deputy called off his pursuit once a helicopter responded and had a view from above. The operator of the helicopter continued to watch as Desiree sped recklessly through neighborhoods. She finally came to a stop, and both her and her passenger exited the vehicle and tried to hide in a brush. Deputies responded and took both parties into custody. The passenger was later released based on the deputy's decision to hold off on the robbery investigation at this time. KBNU News Time is 5:08. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
This is Dr. Red, chiropractic physician with Red River Health and Wellness. Are you suffering with fatigue, brain fog, headaches, intestinal issues, weight gain, and you haven't been able to find any answers?
Before I started at Red River, I was having a lot of stomach pain. I was overweight, severe anxiety, some depression. I had been to multiple doctors. I'd been to specialists. We had done tests, and no one could find anything that was wrong.
Red River Health and Wellness can help you.
I'm on anxiety medicine. I've lowered my dose, and I'm working with my doctor to continue to lower it. I'm sleeping through the night. I have energy for my kids. I've lost 30 pounds. I just feel really good.
Our goal is to teach you and educate you so you know how to manage your condition a lot more effectively, and you know what to do and what not to do for the rest of your life.
Schedule your appointment today at 855-55-RIVER. Red River Health and Wellness with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today.
This Valentine's Day, give a piece of jewelry from S.E. Needham Jewelers. Save time and money by taking advantage of our Valentine's Day special. With the purchase of any jewelry valued at $149 or more, you'll receive dinner for two, chocolates and flowers. You can have Valentine's Day covered in one stop. Choose from a large selection of diamonds, pearls, gold, and silver jewelry. Also, your jewelry will come in our signature gift box. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
Hello, Cache Valley. This is Tom Hale at Blue Sky Restoration, formerly ARS. Remember, got a mess? Call ARS. We want to let you know that here at Blue Sky, we still have the same great staff, we provide the same excellent service, and are ready to help you in your time of need with water mitigation, mold remediation, or a fire. From Blue Sky Restoration, thank you for trusting our staff and myself for over 35 years with your disaster needs, and we will continue to be here for you.
It's winter, and the last thing you're thinking about is yard work. But did you know now is actually the best time to trim your trees? Hey, it's Chelsea with Whole Tree Care, and I'm not suggesting you get out there and do it. Call us. Our guys climb trees year-round. And now that leaves are gone, visibility is perfect for trimming. Plus, your trees are dormant, so it's less stressful on your trees. Call 760-6587. If you have any overgrown trees, call before heavy snow causes damage. Whole Tree Care. That's HULL Tree Care. 760-6587.
Imagine driving home, a peaceful evening shattered by a chunk of ice that falls off from another vehicle, leaving your windshield shattered and your arm broken. That's what happened to my neighbor Jim. Insurance and the other driver were no support. It's a tough situation, but I told him to reach out to the Advocates. They've got your back. No upfront costs to find out if you have a case. If you've been hurt in an accident that's not your fault, don't hesitate. Chat with the Advocates at utahadvocates.com or call 801-355-5550. Now with offices in Logan.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Thanks again to Tammy Pfeiffer for stopping by. Fun conversation, and I know it's complex, and we didn't cover much of it, but please check them out, dignityindex.us. The governor's speech today and the guest speaker, author and founder of the Courage Project also will be available online soon. So Very excited to welcome our next guest in because this is an ongoing conversation we've had here on the show, and we've still not even scratched the surface of where we can go with all of this. But from the, I'm going to get the name right here, Janet Quinney Lawson, Institute for Land, Water, and Air.
Perfect.
I got it. Joining us right now, Managing Director of the Institute, Anna McEntire.
Also perfect.
I got that right, except I swapped it. It's been one of those days, Anna. I really appreciate you doing this with us on a regular basis because we've covered so much ground, but now here we are, midst of the legislative session. We got news last week from a representative of the Water District joining us here on the show that some of the results of the Bear River Basin Area Economic Study have been submitted to the legislature. Water policy is going to, we haven't had our water week yet in the legislature, but it's coming.
It's coming.
And of course, air quality still to address, planning for all this growth, public lands. I mean, there's so many angles to all of this. And that's what all of you do. You research this, and the goal is to facilitate that information, that research, making its way to the public policy debates, which is easier said than done, I understand, but I'm so glad that it's happening. And welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. It's been really exciting. We're about getting into our second year of operations with a staffed institute,
wow.
And it's been a real delight to start engaging on new partnerships, which is what our job is.
Sure.
It's more to amplify the great work that is being done at Utah State, to listen to what people want and need from Utah State so that we can be really in a helper role when it comes to having the right conversations, making the right decisions on Utah's land, water, and air.
And that's, when they're making these decisions, lawmakers, for example, use them as an example. It's unrealistic to expect anyone to be an expert. And yet they're going to have to vote on bills appropriating money, for example, to the Save the Great Salt Lake effort, which is a really important thing. But inadvertently, they could make a decision to spend money on X that then harms southern Utah or the Bear River area. And so juggling all those plates, I've spoken with lawmakers who have said this, all of this makes them so nervous.
Yeah.
Because their decisions today could have a negative impact instead of a positive 10 years from now.
Well, if you just look in the Salt Lake Tribune from this week, they're running a story about the Bonneville salt flats and how they have spent a huge amount of time and effort and money trying to stop. It's not just the Great Salt Lake that's shrinking. The Bonneville salt flats are shrinking as well. And for the past 30 years, they've been working on a management plan that they believed would be beneficial for the salt flats. And new science, because they're doing studies to better understand the way the water tables work, the way that water flows in the area, they think that they might need to be doing an about face and completely overhauling their management plan for that. And so the more people that we have looking at the best available science, the better we can help policymakers be able to make the best decisions.
And that's where at the Institute, you've started building these partnerships, these information sharing networks, but also collaborations on projects. And it's been amazing to watch that grow to have sort of a public face.
Yeah. One of the ones, I sent you a whole list of new partnerships that I'm excited to chat about. The one that I've been so excited because maybe it wasn't on my radar coming into this was our ability to work with the business community.
Oh, really?
So we've been in partnership with the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, who have launched an Air and Water Innovation Grant, where companies in the state can apply for significant amounts of funding, either to build a business that's based on improving air quality or water efficiency in the state, or to upgrade their operations so that they can be better stewards of the environment. And
that's amazing.
Our job, we were hired in an evaluator role to look at these grants and be able to say whether they're doing what they thought that they would do. But we've been using our connector role to not just connect them to experts at the university so that they can talk with them and get an expert's feedback on some questions that they might want to ask or some different takes on what they might look at. But then also we are helping to connect the companies with each other. And so we'll be having a symposium at the beginning of March where all of the companies are going to share what they're doing. They're going to share their progress, some lessons that they've learned, along with our Utah State experts who will all listen to every single company, even the ones outside of their specific field.
Really?
So they can share all of the knowledge that they have to do all of their jobs as best as they can.
Now that is very cool. It's
been really fun.
This, what makes this so interesting is, for example, what you just brought up, working with the business community. You have these ideas out there and in the business community, and of course every business is going to say, we're going to change the world. And so this is a situation where you could actually work with the businesses and say, okay, you might not change the world with that idea, but if you were to tweak this or that, and so a symbiotic relationship there.
Yeah,
that is really cool.
Just this afternoon, I had a meeting with a venture capitalist who wanted to come up to USU campus, and he said there's this new exciting idea of different material that we could add to Utah soil to save water, to make it more porous and be able to retain more water. He said, I don't know if I should invest in this or not. This is something that I believe in, but what can I do to facilitate a study that will help us understand if this is good technology or not? And so those are the things that we're going to continue to work on to help find scientists that can help answer those questions so we can find those technologies that are going to help the state.
That is very cool. And so this is a statewide effort.
This is
this
statewide
won't just
effort.
be Cache Valley or Northern Utah.
Yep.
Very cool.
But we do have some Cache Valley companies who are involved with the program, and we've been excited to hear their progress and work with them on it.
It's very cool. This is a really innovative way to approach long-standing challenges and make sure both taxpayers are getting their bang for the buck, but also that these businesses can do what it is they set out to do and make a difference, while at the same time, running a profitable business. And it shows that the application of this research that is always happening at USU anyway, really it has so many different ways it can be applied to changing the world around us. Great example. That is so cool. Our guest again, Anna McEntire of the Janet Quinney
Lawson.
Janet, I had it at the first. Now it's Janet Quinney Lawson School of
Institute for Land, Water, and Air at Utah State University.
I need to just sit in front of a mirror and practice.
That's what I did.
I usually get lazy and cheat. I just say Institute for Land, Water, and Air.
And that works too.
This is a fascinating thing. The Institute, by the way, is connected to the Save the Great Salt Lake effort with the head of the Institute, Brian Steed, also chairing that task force. But also this research making its way into public policy debates and circles left and right. The business communities we've just discussed. They've partnered with the Cache Water District. They've got some stuff coming on Bear Lake. This is honestly just a fascinating opportunity to get to step inside the walls of the Institute. If you have a comment or a question, 753-5868. We'll be back right after this.
I'm Larry Gelwigs, the getaway guru for Morris, Columbus Travel and Norwegian Cruise Line, with the biggest cruise promotion of the year, including free open bar, free Wi-Fi, free excursions, free specialty dining, and on select cruises, the third and fourth person sail absolutely free. You just pay the taxes. And for the best travel deals on the planet, give us a call at Morris Columbus Travel.
Come on and get away, Morris Columbus.
100 plus businesses, thousands of people, free parking, Main Street access. It's the Cache Valley Media Group Home and Garden Show, presented by Anderson Seed and Garden at the Eccles Ice and Events Center, March 22nd and 23rd. If you are a home and garden business, from crafts to home building or excavation to emergency preparedness, this show is for you. Google Cache Valley Home and Garden Show or call 752-1390 for details.
Want to set yourself apart from the competition? The Leadership MBA at Utah State University will help you lead companies and drive change in your organization. You can attend in person in Logan on Thursday evenings or take an interactive online class. Complete your MBA in as little as a year. Apply before March 1st to be considered for summer semester. Contact the MBA office for a waiver of the $55 application fee. Learn more at utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com.
Tuesday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show, as we inch closer and closer to the battleground in the Senate and the House over the border bill. What is the absolute latest? We will give you that. Plus, Buck.
Middle East continues to heat up. There were a number of strikes in response to what happened on that U.S. base in Jordan. What Biden going to do next? We'll break it down for you on Clay and Buck.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. It's a pleasure to be able to have this conversation again on a regular basis with our guest here in the studio from the Janet Quinney Lawson's Institute of Land, Water, and Air. See that?
Pretty close.
Close enough, right? I got the order wrong that time. I'll get it before the end of the hour. Managing Director Anna McEntire here in the studio, 753-5868. Over the last few months, we've had a chance to speak with Anna a few times. We've spoken with Brian Steed a few times. But if you've been following these episodes, you know that it's so all-encompassing. And talking a little bit about collaborating on this business grant project is sort of in sort of a review capacity for both the business ideas and the taxpayer funding, if it gets awarded through this grant, to make sure taxpayers get their return on investment as well. That's just one example. We could go any place with all this, I realized. But I wanted to talk a little bit because I know last week we had a chance to have Jeannie Simmons on the show, just giving us an update on the Cashwater District and mainly talking about their economic impact study for the Bear River Basin area, which is a fascinating conversation in its own right. But she mentioned, and you mentioned as well, that so you've been collaborating on a couple of different things. And this is also, so the Water District also has its own goal of informing the legislative process because they don't want to get trampled on as we try to save the Great Salt Lake, as we plan for growth, all of that. But what they realized, Jeannie explained, is they didn't have a lot of ammunition. You know, for lack of a better term, when they went down to have these debates, people would say, "Well, can you show us that?" And they kept saying, "Well, no, actually." But then they realized, here all of you are, right in their own backyard. Can you talk a little bit about how that came about and what it means? Oh,
there have been many ways over the years, and especially in the past few years, that we've been working to collaborate in the Valley. The Logan River Observatory is one of those great resources we have at the university that helps us to understand the water that we have above surface, and now we also need to understand the groundwater that we have in the valley as well, and finding ways to be able to measure our available water in the valley is going to be able to help us understand what we have, what we need, what we can work with, and certainty on those things always makes everything so much easier to talk about. So one of the things that we are working on for this spring is there's a long-running conference that's been held up at Utah State for a number of years, a dozen or more years, called the Spring Runoff Conference. And that's typically been a researcher conference where hydrologists and limnologists and many of our water scientists share the work and the projects that they have been doing over the past year. And it's been really great, but we can do more to make sure that research is more publicly accessible. And one of the things that we're doing is we're working with Northern Utah Water Users Conference to hold a combined and shared conference. Oh, wow. So rather than them doing their thing at the fairgrounds and us doing our thing up on campus, we're going to have a 2-day conference, half down at the fairgrounds, half up at the USU campus, where we are combining registration. We are making registration free. So for anyone who wants to show up, it'll be taken care of. And the Northern Utah Water Users Group is working on their agenda that we will be sharing and collaborating on for the first day, which will be Tuesday, March 26th. And we will have, at the end of the day, a research poster session down at the fairgrounds where our Bear Lake researchers, as well as our other water researchers, will share posters of the work that they're doing with a reception, with food, and we can all talk to each other in a fun reception format. Then the next day,
very cool.
Yeah, we'll be up on campus, and that will be a fair amount of our research presentations, other breakout sessions, as well as members of state government, local government, sharing their perspectives on water policy issues in the state.
That is, that is another great example because these are groups. So, water user groups sometimes would have almost adversarial relationships with policymakers or with hippies.
There'll be some of that too, I'm sure.
The environmentalists. But you're bringing these groups together with research as the excuse for them all to get together, and everyone leaves more informed.
Yes.
So you may not change the direction of something. You may not change, what happens in the legislative session, for example, directly, but you're leaving a footprint of people who know more about the world they're operating in.
Know more about the world they're operating in, and also know the people who are, our researchers understand the people who are using the water, and the people who are using the water are understanding people who are answering questions about what water we have and what it's like.
This is, as you can see, this is a huge chunk of pie to bite off, but they've done it. And you can learn more, by the way, usu.edu/ILWA. I've put a link to that on our Facebook page, but you can see everything we're discussing now and more. But I love this, Anna, as well. Right at the top of the page, data-driven communication partnerships. And that just nails it. That's what's been so cool to watch about the project of this institute as a legislative junkie. Because I've watched the legislature, and I don't mean this as a diss on them. It's going to sound like it, but I've watched them get smarter. Yeah. I've watched them know more what they're talking about when it comes to water or air quality, and it's coming from their connection to this research. And then we have you in the studio, and then I hear a lawmaker quoting something you taught us here in the studio. It's just really fun to see.
Well, it's the type of results that we want to see, for sure.
It's an important thing, too. For listeners, this is somewhere where you will learn a lot as well. As a resident of the Valley, a listener from anywhere in northern Utah, usu.edu/ILWA. More of our guest, Managing Director Anna McEntire, here in the studio. She's with the Janet Quinney Lawson Institute for Land, Water, and Air, and we're talking about their collaborations and partnerships with the business community, the legislature, and more. On the other side, they are about to take a big chunk of another pie. Research into Bear Lake, helping them develop an overall managing plan for the lake to make sure one day they're not talking about Bear Lake the way we're having to talk about Great Salt Lake today. It's possible, but we need to be careful, and that's what the Institute is hoping to facilitate. We'll talk about that after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:31, and the news is brought to you by Roof Rescue. Jeannie Simmons is on the Logan Municipal Council, but is also a member of the Cache Water Conservancy District, and she was a guest on KVNU's For the People program last week. Over the years, the Utah legislature has at times threatened to and has actually stepped into city jurisdictions with new mandated state laws, but with the new Speaker of the Utah House seeming to back off a bit, Simmons said that seems appropriate. She said that became a visible crisis that they felt they needed to fix, and so she says she does believe that taking a breath, stepping back is the appropriate response because it did not become a crisis overnight, and it's not going to get fixed overnight. We'll have more of Jeannie's comments on later KVNU newscasts. Utah High School is taking action just weeks after Governor Spencer Cox urged educators to remove cell phones during class time. When students walk through the doors at Ogden High School, things will be a little different this week. The high school is making an update to its cell phone policy. The school district says the new rule is an evolution in the process of reducing distractions for students during class. It's something officials believe has been a growing concern across the nation and in Utah when it comes to cell phones in the classroom. Jer Bates, Director of Communications with the Ogden School District, said cell phones in classes just present a distraction. To learn presents a challenge between teachers delivering instruction and students receiving that instruction. Moving forward, if students try to use their phone in class, they will be asked to store them in a phone locker. And a man was arrested after police said he fled from a traffic stop and nearly ran over a detective. According to a press release, the detective moved away from the car just in time to escape injury. Officers began their investigation just after 1:30 Sunday morning in Salt Lake City. The driver was later identified as 33-year-old Gerardo Camilo Phillip, though police said he initially gave them a false name. When asked to get out of the car, Phillip allegedly quickly put the car into drive and sped away. He ultimately crashed into a building, which did not result in any injuries to bystanders. According to a probable cause statement, officials estimated Phillip had been going over 70 miles per hour at the time of impact. Phillip and a passenger who both sustained non-life-threatening injuries were both stopped at the scene. KVNU News Time is 5:34.
Roof Rescue is your local roofing specialist, dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry no matter the weather. Their team of experienced roofers is here to serve you, providing top-quality service at affordable prices. From minor repairs to complete roof replacements, they've got you covered. Remember, your roof is your first line of defense in protecting your family from the elements. So don't wait until the next storm to discover your roof problems. Call Roof Rescue today at 435-999-4268. They're your trusted local roofing experts, here to keep your home safe and dry. Roof Rescue, celebrating 10 years of providing watertight peace of mind.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson. Everyone's accounted for, say Las Vegas police, after searching through the fallen snow in an avalanche above a snowboarder resort. That as farther south in Southern California, that big storm continues to drench over 1 million people in and around Los Angeles, including the Hollywood Hills and Beverly Hills, under a flash flood warning. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass.
If there is an evacuation order, LAPD will perform door-to-door evacuation notifications if needed.
The Senate is set to vote this week on the landmark Republican-Democratic compromise border security bill. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, a Republican, says it won't get anywhere in his chamber. President Biden calls that hypocrisy after Republicans complaining about border issues. The UN Security Council discussing last week's U.S.-led airstrikes on Iran-backed militias. The U.S. defending it, saying the militants have been attacking commercial shipping. A down day on Wall Street. This is ABC News.
KVNU weather for tonight. Rain showers in our forecast this evening. Chance of precipitation 80%. Overnight low in the low 30s. And then a 50% chance of rain on Tuesday. High temperature in the mid-40s. Rain continuing Tuesday night, and then rain in the morning on Wednesday, becoming rain and snow with little or no snow accumulation expected. 38 has been our high. It's 37 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Maple Creek Ranch. Build your dream home on some of the most beautiful lots in Cache Valley. 2.5-acre lots, miles of wilderness, babbling brooks, and more just east of Franklin, Idaho. All roads are now paved. Learn more at maplecreekranch.net. You can always get more news at CacheValleyDaily.com.
This Valentine's Day, give a piece of jewelry from S.E. Needham Jewelers. Save time and money by taking advantage of our Valentine's Day special. With the purchase of any jewelry valued at $149 or more, you'll receive dinner for two, chocolates and flowers. You can have Valentine's Day covered in one stop. Choose from a large selection of diamonds, pearls, gold, and silver jewelry. Also, your jewelry will come in our signature gift box. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
With fresh snow comes fresh deals at Murdoch GMC Chevrolet Cadillac. Make some fresh tracks to our winter sales event. In this season, our Murdoch vehicles are perfect for making fresh tracks to winter fun. Right now, receive up to $8,000 off a new 2024 GMC Sierra 1500. When you walk through our doors, you feel like family. At Murdoch Chevrolet GMC Cadillac in Logan or online at MurdochChevroletLogan.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Call 866-628-3065 or see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 2/29/24.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Here in the studio with us this hour, and keep whacking my microphone around, we have with us Managing Director Anna McEntire. She is with the Janet Quinney Lawson Institute for Land, Water, and Air. And we are, to try and encapsulate what we're talking about today is almost impossible, but we're basically talking about partnerships and collaboration. The Institute has launched or is continuing with everything from that we've talked about the business partnerships and the state grant program for businesses that are centered around making improvements environmentally, air quality, water use, things like that, but also have found a way to profit from it. The state has a granting program, and the Institute will serve as sort of a review body to say, is this something where taxpayers would get a return on their investment? Would it make a difference? So that's fascinating. We talked about the Cache Water District as well and how they're working with the Institute to better inform. Look at it this way. The Cache Water District has to go make an argument to lawmakers when a proposal comes up. And the more information they have to take with them, the easier it's going to be for them to have an impact and protect Cache Valley from oversights. And that's usually what is the concern, is an oversight, not some nefarious plot for our water. Although sometimes I wonder, when you hear them talk about the Bear River Basin, I think, they're salivating. But and I understand. But to inform those discussions, it doesn't stop there. Working with the task force that's been charged by Governor Cox with finding a way to rescue the Great Salt Lake before it's too late, the Institute has also decided to take a look at other big bodies of water here in northern Utah, specifically Bear Lake. And we don't often hear about Bear Lake as being in trouble.
I think we want to keep it that way.
Yeah, that's the idea, right?
There are a lot of numbers that we have seen that make us need to take a close look at it and make sure that it stays the pristine lake that we want it to. I think I mentioned this last time I was here, but we've seen a 300% increase with people who visit Bear Lake in the past 10 years. And before that, it was 300%. So we're seeing this exponential increase.
I've felt it in that LeBeau's line over there.
I have too. And thinking about how we plan to keep the lake in as good a condition as we can while accommodating growth or planning for growth or planning for smart growth or planning for less growth, whatever it is of the vision of people who live there and what they want to see in the valley. And we've been really lucky with our partners on this include the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. They're only in charge of the sovereign land, which is basically Bear Lake and the beaches. But because they recognize that the entire valley affects the health of the lake, they've really opened up their the research that they're having us do to much broader than just the water and the sand.
That's fascinating when you consider this happening within a quest to come up with a long-term management plan. That would absolutely be an aspect of it. I hadn't thought of that.
It is. So there are a number of projects that we are running from water quality sampling to understanding water flows and the fish species. But the one that we are working on right now that I've been so excited to work with is a really student-driven project, and it's with the entire Department of Landscape Architecture and Environmental Planning. And all last year they had their graduate students just learn everything that they could about Bear Lake in the Valley. And then this semester, for 1 week last month, the entire department, every single student, every single faculty member spent an
Wow.
entire week digging into different ideas and plans on what they could do to make Bear Lake and the Valley a better place. And they broke up into 13 different teams with some students and a faculty member, and then they presented their ideas in a presentation format a couple weeks ago, and it was the coolest thing to
That
see,
is
these
very
out-of-the-box ideas of what they're paying attention to, what types of themes and ideas they've picked up on, and just fresh ideas from young people is there are going to be some really, really great refined ideas. The seniors in their capstone course, they'll run with the best ideas through the end of the semester, and then
Sure.
they'll present the polished plans in April.
That is amazing. This is, I mean, what an opportunity for the students and the researchers, but also an opportunity for anyone exposed to this, whether it's a conversation in public that you know, if it fills some minds with great information, or a direct conversation with a lawmaker about water policy, or a water district about water policy. You can see the ramification, or the potential for all of this. But I go back to the students, because that has to be exciting for them to. I can't imagine doing your work as a student, working towards your goal of the degree and maybe furthering for your education beyond that, but then being able to do so where you could feel you're actually going to have an impact on the land, water, and air around you through this project. That is so cool.
And they are working with, they're not doing it in a vacuum. They're not,
Sure.
sitting in their classroom. They are going out, they're meeting with the City Council of Lake Town. They're meeting with the mayor of Garden City. They're chatting with residents in Montpelier, Idaho,
That's amazing.
landowners around the lake, and with our colleagues at Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. So what they're doing, it's real, it has an impact. And so we had members of all of these groups come and see these presentations. Bear Lake Watch was included, and then it was the stakeholders that went through and decided which are the best projects and which ones do we want to see those students run with for the rest of the semester.
That is. Can you tell us? I mean, I know that it was probably complex, but what were some of the criteria that topped the list?
Yeah, I'll share the winning team's idea, and there were so many because we got to vote at the end of our favorites, and it's a bold idea. I don't know if we'd see something like this, but I think it will spawn a lot of other interesting ideas. And if you're familiar with the lake, there's part of Bear Lake State Park that isn't really developed on the southwest side of the lake, on your way down to Rendezvous Beach. And you have the outhouses there, and people will stop and they'll park along the side of the road to use that rocky beach, especially when it's super busy.
Yeah.
And it is really dangerous when you have people with their kids trying to cross the road from where they've parked to get to the beach, and it's 40-mile-per-hour traffic.
I never thought of that. Yes,
So
it
they
would be.
developed a bypass road at Pickleville Playhouse that would go and cut away from the lake up until Rendezvous Beach. So, and then everything on the lake would be a 25-mile-per-hour road and a really exceptionally developed state park with some boardwalk area, some mini shops, kiosks that people could rent out to sell souvenirs and tchotchkes during the summertime. And the thing that's great about that is these students are so visually thinking. They have pictures and renderings of what this vision would look like. And it was really exciting to see them think about how they could preserve things that matter while also changing things that are really significant problems on the lake right now.
That is really cool, and to be able to have that once completed immediate effect on public safety, but also shows you the importance of looking at the whole lake and coming up with a sort of a long-term management plan. Because something like that, the situation that's unsafe for kids crossing the road or whatever it might be, no one planned that. No one said, "No, let's make this a dangerous stretch of road." It's just as development happened, as things change, it evolved that way. That is so amazing to think of being able to attack some of those challenges in advance when it comes to the lake.
So they have projects that go from Randolph to Lake Town, Garden City,
wow,
up to Montpelier. Each of those towns they're working on individual plans for, and they'll continue to develop those out. They also have some really insightful conservation plans along Bear River of just simple fixes that could be made to help improve the water quality and the filtration and the flow of the river. And those are the types of changes that could be made now at low cost that would have huge impacts for generations on the health of the lake.
That's one thing we've noticed in public policy, and my understanding at least, correct me if I'm wrong, the research backs this up, that it is always cheaper to do it before rather than to play cleanup, right? So, I mean, you get to see all this research, you get to talk to people about it, you get to present it.
Sometimes, funnest job.
And sometimes the news can be a little... Sometimes you read the headlines or listen to the news, watch the news, and you think, oh, man, we're toast. How could... we can't do it. But the research always leaves me feeling hopeful. Is that your experience as well?
I think it is. I know that this has been a wild legislative session, but
sure.
For the amount of time that I've been exposed to Utah policymaking, I do feel like there is continuing to be a sea change and an understanding of the value of Utah's natural resources to the broad prosperity of the state. That if you care about human health, if you care about the state economy, if you care about the things that are not partisan or divisive, then you care about knowing the best way possible to manage Utah's land, water, and air.
That makes sense. That again, this all happening under an umbrella and an effort that has no end date. Really, will never be done with this. But building these, I love this phrase again: communication partnerships. Whether it be between cities in the Bear Lake Valley and long-term Bear Lake management plans, or the legislature and their water policy, air quality policy, land management policy, or businesses looking to have an impact both on their bottom line but also on the world around them to be good stewards. The Janet Quinney Lawson Institute for Land, Water, and Air providing an opportunity on all of these fronts to connect research, information, and understanding with these various efforts in the business and public policy realm. It's amazing. It's fascinating. It's happening in our own backyard. That's the coolest part about it, I think. It's right here. And I just want to urge listeners, again, you can engage with this. Anna and I were talking during the break about Research Week, which, of course, happens every year at USU, an amazing week that'll just fill your head with all kinds of ideas and information. But anytime you can connect with the Institute at usu.edu/ILWA. This isn't just for students. You can watch a great presentation there on their report to the governor last December. You can read more about this Bear Lake project we've just discussed, the Great Salt Lake project that's ongoing statewide. You can also subscribe to their newsletter, which is really great, by the way. I love that. That's monthly, right?
So we send out our news roundup weekly. So every week it's just a roundup of in Utah headlines that affect land, water, and air in the state. And then we have a monthly newsletter that's mostly research-based and focused, the ILWA programs that we have going on.
That one blows me away every time. I read through that, the monthly one, and think this is happening right now. We're literally researching and coming to a better understanding of these things just miles away from my home. It's so cool. But please, listeners, connect to usu.edu/ILWA and more with our guest, Managing Director of the Institute, Anna McEntire, here in the studio. 753-5868 if you'd like to join us. We'll be back right after this.
Stop. If you're shopping for tires, stop. Don't buy tires today. Wait, because the biggest tire sale of the year is starting Wednesday at Discount Tire and Automotive in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield. There's no need to shop around because you'll get the absolute guaranteed lowest prices in town or online on your favorite brands, including BF Goodrich, Michelin, Cooper, Toyo, and Goodyear. I repeat, do not buy tires today. The best tire deals are coming Wednesday to Discount Tire and Automotive in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield. Tires with prices so low you won't believe it. Choose 12 months no interest, no credit check financing, or layaway. The biggest sale of the year is starting Wednesday at Discount Tire and Automotive in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield. The deals are so good the manufacturers won't allow the prices to be given over the phone. Don't miss the Discount Tire and Automotive warehouse sale. 4 days only starting Wednesday. Go to Discount Tire and Automotive in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield.
Discount Tire. So much more than a tire store.
Are you in need of excellent surgical care? Budge Clinic General Surgery offers the future of surgery with state-of-the-art robotic-assisted procedures. From cancer treatments to surgical needs, they've got you covered. Call Budge Clinic General Surgery today, 435-716-1950, to schedule a consultation and experience the best possible outcome. Trust Doctors Anderson, Marshall, McKenna, and Peterson, the experts at Budge Clinic General Surgery, helping people live the healthiest lives possible.
The Above and Beyond Salute.
Hello? Kemma Koalis, this is Will Feelright. The reason I'm calling is someone has nominated you for our Above and Beyond Salute. How many years have you been a school crossing guard with the Logan City Police Department?
16 years.
Have you ever thought back, how many thousands of kids have you helped to protect?
Funny, I'll go places uptown and I'll have kids say, "Aren't you the crossing guard? You crossed me when I was in school," and they're like in their 20s now.
Thank you so much for what you do.
No problem.
The Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs on News Talk KVNU.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Here in the studio with us for another few minutes. You're welcome to join us, 753-5868. We have Managing Director of the Janet Quinney Lawson Institute for Land, Water, and Air at Utah State University, Anna McEntire here. We've covered a lot of ground already. And Anna, I'm going back, I'm checking your text quick. There was one other thing you wanted to get to, and that was, Colorado River.
Colorado River. We can do that. We can do Great Salt Lake. Those are the two. When we are talking to anyone in the state or in the nation, when it comes to water challenges, not just in Utah, but in the West, it's Great Salt Lake, it's Colorado River. And we've heard a lot about Great Salt Lake, which is fantastic. And it's something that that I'm really happy that 90% of people now know and understand that we really are in crisis on Great Salt Lake and that there are options to fix it. Just really quickly, we still are partnering on the Great Salt Lake Strike Team with our friends at the University of Utah and at the Utah Department of Natural Resources, and just continuing to come up with new science on the lake. One of the things, the big questions that people wanted to ask is, last year we had a record water year, and why did we not completely fill up Great Salt Lake?
That's a good question.
And it is a good question, and science is a lot more complicated than you get rain or snow, and that directly impacts the lake the very next year. And we had reservoirs that we decided as a state that needed to be refilled, and that caught a lot of the snow melt that we had past year.
Sure.
We additionally have groundwater, and that's water that you can't see and not understand, and it's hard to understand what is needed to recharge those aquifers. So all
those
of our
reservoirs have to be resaturated, right?
They do. And so now, though, that our reservoirs are 80% full, we believe we've had significant recharge to our groundwater. The expectation is, even if we are still on track for just an average water year, we expect that we'll see a lot more water on the lake for lake level rise this year. And that's things that we need our researchers to continue to understand, to study, and tell us so we can know what to expect as far as how much water we receive, how much we need, and how much we can expect to see in the lake.
Because obviously the goal here is to build a comfortable buffer, right? So if we see another couple of years of worst drought in 75 years, as the governor said, that it doesn't end the lake, that there's this breathing room where the lake might shrink for a couple of years, but it's going to be okay because we've managed all the other time well.
If we work hard to continue to manage it, it is a savable lake, but it will take directed effort to be able to do so.
Sure.
And
same with the Colorado River, right?
Exactly the same thing with the Colorado River. And I think some of us in northern Utah, it feels like someone else's problem, someone else's issue.
That's an Arizona, southern Utah thing.
Exactly. But 40 million people in the West, in 7 states, as well as native tribes, depend in some way on the Colorado River. And that includes most people who live along the Wasatch Front as well. And if we don't get it right on the Colorado River, we've got even more significant problems and even more significant challenges when it comes to Utah's agricultural future and even our drinking water future.
And we've seen some scary low water levels on that river, right?
Low water levels. I mean, you can go down to Lake Powell and just see those water lines, although we did see a lot of really encouraging recovery last year, and we hope to see more. But we have a center at Utah State University that we are working to partner to enlarge the vision and mission of. It's the Center for Colorado River Studies. And as part of that, we are partnering with the Great Salt Lake Collaborative, and this is a new partnership. We'll be announcing more of this in the spring to build out the expertise of the Great Salt Lake Collaborative to also be covering issues along the Colorado River. And hopefully so we have as much knowledge now in the general public on the issues surrounding the Colorado River, and it's super complicated with all of the agreements and compacts that have been signed there, to understand what water we have and how it impacts each of us.
That is, and how connected it all is.
Yes.
I mean, literally in some cases, but in our public policy for sure. And wow, it's almost overwhelming to think about. But here's what I love about these segments, Anna. When you come in, it makes more sense to me. Right? And like I said about the research, you leave feeling like, okay, we can do this. We can figure this out. We've got to get on it and be very careful and make sure we are dotting our I's, crossing our T's, and keeping our heads full of very, very useful information from the Institute and others. But we can actually tackle it if we start now. So encouraging to hear. I know that wasn't the purpose of this was for an update on the Institute, but it is really nice to hear that we have options.
I hope so. I'm optimistic.
Anna, very much appreciate you taking the time for us, and look forward to seeing you next month.
Yep.
For listeners, again, you can connect with the Institute directly via their website and on social media. It's the Janet Quinney Lawson Institute for Land, Water, and Air, and their website, usu.edu/ILWA, is for everyone, not just students, not just researchers. If you want to know more about water in Utah, land in Utah, air in Utah, this is a place you need to get familiar with, this website. I've linked to it on our Facebook page, and that is our show for today. Thank you for tuning in.